Imagine a suburban HOA so drunk on power. They actually let a wannabe cop point a loaded gun at someone over a parking space. Now imagine that someone is a Navy SEAL trainer. Yeah, that really happened. My name's Hal Granger. I'm a retired aerospace engineer. And for 15 years, my wife and I have lived in what was supposed to be a peaceful, upscale community outside Phoenix called Marigold Estates. Strict HOA. Sure. Beige mailboxes. Lawn checks. Flower inspections, you get the idea. But we followed the rules. Mostly. Our daughter, Lila, was visiting after 6 months away. She's 36, sharp as a blade, and tougher than most Marines. She trains elite special forces in psychological warfare and combat survival. When she pulled into our driveway in her military-style Jeep, I could tell she was wiped. 72 straight hours training recruits, followed by a 3-hour drive. She looked like she hadn't blinked in a week. She parked in the visitor spot in front of our house and started unloading boxes mostly geared to install a security system. We'd had a string of break-ins nearby. Lila was halfway through when she got a call about one of her trainees suffering a severe PTSD breakdown. So she did what she's trained to do, sat on our couch and calmly talked the young man down from the ledge for over 25 minutes. We completely forgot to move her Jeep. Technically, visitor parking is limited to 30 minutes. Enter Hank Dobbins, self-appointed HOA enforcer. Ex-mall cop turned tyrant. He strutted around in a fake badge and a uniform stitched together from military surplus and delusion. When I opened the door, he was already writing a violation slip. Lila stepped out, still exhausted but polite, and explained the situation. Dobbins didn't care. In fact, he doubled down, barked about a $500 fine and a $300 tow. When Lila tried to walk away, he grabbed her arm. Huge mistake. Her training kicked in. In one swift motion, she had him disarmed and sprawled in our rose bushes. He limped away, humiliated, swearing vengeance. We thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 20 minutes later, he came back with 2 HOA board members in tow. One was nervous and clearly uncomfortable. The other looked like she'd been misled into thinking we were harboring fugitives. Lila had barely taken a sip of water before she instinctively slid into a defensive stance at our front door. Dobbins stood at the bottom of the porch. Then, like a scene from a bad TV drama, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a Glock, pointed it at Lila's face, his hand visibly shaking. Down on the ground. You're under arrest. Arrest? For what? Parking over the time limit. Lila didn't flinch. She scanned the area in 2 seconds. Witnesses, distances, his grip, her options. Then, with that signature calm she trains into soldiers, she spoke. Mr. Dobbins, you are committing a felony. Lower your weapon. Now. He didn't. So she moved. A fluid, controlled disarm. The gun was out of his hand, and he was face first on our lawn before his backup even blinked. Real cops showed up 10 minutes later. Officer Medina took one look at the scene, nodded at Lila's explanation, and secured the weapon. Dobbins was cuffed and stuffed into the back of the cruiser, still yelling about his HOA authority. But then came the twist. HOA President Naomi Caldwell, slick as a politician and twice as shady, waltzed into the police station an hour later with the town's police chief, who also happened to be her cousin. Suddenly, Dobbins was released. The charges disappeared. And just like that, the HOA called an emergency meeting to vote us out for violence against a security officer. That's when Lila said, "Enough." She called an old college buddy, civil rights attorney Marcus Liu. Together, they started digging. And what they found made our blood run cold. Dobbins had a sealed assault record. Caldwell had been flipping homes she forced families to sell at a loss. HOA funds were being funneled into fake consulting firms owned by relatives. And a chunk of security fees went directly to the police chief's campaign fund. We weren't the first targets, just the first ones who fought back. At the HOA meeting, Naomi tried to paint Lila as a dangerous vet. But when Lila took the floor, she came armed with spreadsheets, surveillance footage, and a voice that had commanded battlefields. One by one, neighbors stepped up. Stories poured out: intimidation, bogus fines, threats, even sabotage. Turns out, our HOA had become a racket. Just when Naomi tried to shut down the meeting, two unexpected guests arrived, a county detective and an FBI agent. They'd been briefed by Marcus and brought warrants. Caldwell and Dobbins were arrested on the spot. Charges included fraud, embezzlement, impersonating law enforcement, and more. The police chief resigned a week later. Lila didn't stop there. With Marcus, she launched a nonprofit neighborhood shield, legal help for HOA abuse victims, training workshops, online resources. It caught fire. Within a year, 42 states had communities pushing for HOA reform. That one wrongly parked Jeep, it ignited a nationwide movement. So, if your HOA thinks they're untouchable, just remember they haven't met a SEAL trainer yet. What would you do if someone like Dobbins pointed a gun at your family over a petty rule? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you've dealt with a corrupt HOA, spill the tea. We're listening.